Hi there, Crafty Pals. Louise with you today. Thanks for checking out this Scraptember share. It is all about hearts. So I couldn't resist using this stencil and paste again. I've pulled this background paper, which also has some very tiny hearts on the actual printed side. And then, of course, I'm going to cut it into a heart shape. Later on in the layout, I will show you how I make a few more hearts. But essentially, I am just putting my heart into this page. Don't you just love a good pun? All right, so now that I've cut my heart, which I like to sketch just freehand, and then to make sure I get a nice even heart, I just fold my paper in half and just cut one shape so that all sides are balanced. I then chose a background paper. At this stage, I have not picked a photo or any kind of embellishments. This is purely just inspired by hearts. I went through my stash, chose a few things that I wanted to include. And of course, you would have heard in my last videos, if you've watched them, that I am hoarding this paste. So using some stencils and some paste this month to sort of get some stash used up and not let that paste harden in the jar so that it's completely unusable and eventually has to be thrown out. So this heart background, once I take this away in a couple of seconds, you'll see that I let the paste dry naturally, and I've left a little gap because I knew that's where my photo was going to go. So while the paste is drying, I'm often thinking about how I'm going to embellish. I do personally, it is purely just by choice. I like to let my paste dry naturally. Some people will use a heat gun, but for me, I just prefer to let it sit and come back to it. I might work on a design team project, or I'll prep my next layout for Scraptember in this case. So purely just putting it aside and coming back to it after that paste has dried. Now, I am just creating a little bit of shadow here. So I really liked the way the paste looked on the green background paper, but I didn't want it to lose its effectiveness. And just using my distress tool and distress black ink, which needs re-inking, I must admit it was quite a challenge to get any ink off of it for that background. But certainly just a little bit of shadow and a little bit of inking around the edge. And you can see how that just gives it that little bit extra. And like looking at the finished layout, you might have even missed that step, which I think is a great reason to watch process videos, because you just never know when you might come across a little technique that maybe you don't necessarily see when looking at a final stage of a layout, but it gives you a little tip or a little technique that you can use in your own scrapping to highlight certain elements. All right, I've pulled a paper from stash to mount my photo on, and in December of 2024, I was unlucky enough to drop a 20-kilo pump on my little toe and ended up completely smashing the bone and destroying the toe. So that happened like on the 22nd of December. And I spent most of my Christmas holiday break laying around with my foot elevated to stop my toe from hurting. So these photos I actually snapped while laying around in bed one day, and I've got my little pal Popeye cuddled up beside me while we're having a bit of a nap and everybody else was out and about doing enjoyable Christmas festivities. So a little bit of a memory to record here, and I decided to do that now that I'm quite happy with a couple of the little feline pet elements, is to just add this little tag and use that as my journaling spot. So this particular cluster actually kind of grew and evolved as I created the layout, you know, tucking that little piece in behind for my journaling, the little sticker off to the left. I have some fabulous Charms Creations hearts. If you haven't checked out Charms Creations, you should definitely visit her on Facebook, because she makes the most beautiful fabric hearts and they just are the best finishing touch to your page. So I'd recently purchased some of those hearts from her, and I thought, of course, this is a heart layout. What else would I want to do but include a heart? Another heart. I think that makes my fourth, because we've got the cutout, we've got the heart paper, we've got the heart stencil, we've got the heart embellishment. So yeah, really going with the heart theme here, and purely just pulling out a few stickers to help enhance that little cluster that I've built over to the left. So I really enjoyed this layout. I had lots of fun with it. I love how it looks. It's very different, and I hope that you enjoyed it too. Thanks for watching and happy crafting.